You voted for a guy like that who's an adjudicated rapist. You voted for a guy. You're the one who brought up child molestation. You're the one who brought up rape. You voted for an adjudicated rapist. Why don't you own it? Be very clear. If you are a white person talking to your white friends and in jest, you use the N-word, most people in society would characterize that person as a racist. And that is not far-fetched, and I am amazed that you're willing to just brush that off and say, well, that doesn't necessarily mean they're racist. No, I'm going to say it right now. A white guy talking to his white friends, in this case, a NASCAR driver from down south, who, by the way, has made racist statements before. And he made and by the way, there's a reason why he lost his job. There's a reason why he lost his sponsor, and his career has never been the same, because he's a racist. Okay, now maybe people can change, sure. But I'll say it then, and I say it now. If you are a white person calling into this radio show, whether it's somebody using the N-word like we had on Friday, or somebody calling into the show saying the only thing that Barack Obama has going for him is he's black, you are an idiot and probably a racist, because I don't talk to people.
Oh, probably.
I would say definitely. I would say, I would change my wording and say definitely. You are a racist.
Okay,
that guy is a racist.
I'll let you go.
And I don't know why you defend people like that. Why do you defend people like that?
I'm not defending them.
Certainly sounds like you are.
Let me just say this, and I'll let you go. To me, two of the worst things that you could possibly be is a child molester and a rapist. Those are the two lowest things on the totem pole, as far as I'm concerned. But before I label...
Hold on, Herb. Herb, can I ask you something?
I got to be sure. I got to be sure. I got to know. There has to be
okay, so can I ask you? I understand. Herb, I get you. I don't disagree with you. So, Herb, can I ask you a question, if that's all right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, because I think this is an important one. So you voted for Donald Trump. So Jeffrey Epstein is on record as saying Donald Trump was his best friend. Donald Trump was on the Epstein flight log 7 times. Donald Trump once bragged about going into teenage girls' locker rooms sexually on the Howard Stern show when he owned the pageant without their permission. And you mentioned the word rapist. Donald Trump is a liable sexual abuser. He's had 25 women that have come forward that have accused him of don't laugh, because it's not funny. It's not funny. Hold on. Let me finish. You don't like it when people interrupt you. Let me finish my question. He's had 25 women that have accused him of sexual abuse or rape. So I agree with you, Herb. Some of the two worst things you can do in society, I agree with you, is be a child molester and or a rapist. You voted for that guy, Herb. So how is it that you come on this show and you say child molestation and rapists are some of the worst people society have to offer? By the way, Herb, I agree with you. How could you vote for that guy then, who bragged about going into teenage locker rooms and is a liable sexual abuser? How could you vote for somebody like that?
Because I was voting for a president that I thought it would do the best for this country, not based on what he had done in the past.
So as long as you like some of his policies, you're willing. So as long as you like some of his policies, you're willing to put aside rape, and you're willing to put aside going into teenage locker rooms. So even though you claim that the two worst things in society are child molestation and rape, you voted for an adjudicated rapist because you thought he could have been good for the country. Is that fair, Herb? That makes no sense to me.
Right.
Well, I think that's insane. So you're okay with rapists if you like some of their policies. Is that correct, Herb? If you're a rapist, that's okay, as long as you like a few of the policies. Is that fair, Herb?
Somebody told you last week that
Herb, why won't you answer?
Broker, when you look for a broker for your money to invest your money, you don't necessarily know what their background is as far as
but you knew what but that's not an excuse, because you knew what his background was. You voted for an adjudicated rapist. You voted for a guy who went into teenage girls' locker rooms and bragged about it on the Howard Stern show without their permission. Don't make the excuse of we didn't know his background. Herb, you knew his background. You voted for a guy like that who's an adjudicated rapist. You voted for a guy. You're the one who brought up child molestation. You're the one who brought up rape. You voted for an adjudicated rapist. Why don't you own it? Own it on this show right now. I like this. I voted for an adjudicated rapist, but I liked some of his policies. Herb, at least just admit it.
And if I had it all over to do again, I'd vote for him again.
Well, that's why Donald Trump called people like you deplorables. I appreciate your call, Herb. Thank you very much and have a nice day. But don't call into this show and say how much you hate rape. I do too. I agree with you. And then vote for a guy whose own ex-wife said that he raped her in a deposition. Have a nice day. Let's welcome a random man named Richard who is a racist. Richard, I'm a coward? How am I a coward? Let's debate. Oh, now he just used a homophobic slur. See, ladies and gentlemen, Richard just showed you his true colors.
Yeah, I called in yesterday, Brian. We had a conversation.
Okay.
And then what you did was you said on your program, you twisted around my words and made me look like a bad person.
Okay, so no, sir, I didn't. No, listen, Richard. I don't mind if people retract their words, but I played it over before I post. And for people that don't know what I'm talking about, Richard said, I'm not twisting anything. Now, you could take it back if you'd like, but Richard, in talking about Barack Obama, said, quote, the only thing Obama's got going for him is he's black. Now, if you want to retract that statement and you claim that you make a mistake, then I'll take your word for it, sir. But I can only go by what you said. And, sir, I played it back. So you did say that. Now, if you want to retract it, I'll give you the opportunity to do that respectfully. But that is what you said, sir.
Yeah, I'm not going to retract anything.
Okay, then I'm not going to retract anything I did. I think you're a racist.
Can you let me finish?
Well, I'm not going to retract anything. Why should I retract if you're not going to retract?
Fine. Could you let me finish?
You can finish. Go ahead. But I'm not going to retract
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm not either. I'm saying the same thing that Michael Moore said. That when Obama looks in the mirror, all he can say was I was the first black president because he didn't help people.
Okay, well, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. That's your opinion.
That's all. You twisted me around and you said I was a MAGA and I lived in a trailer.
Okay, well, let me be very clear. Let me be very clear. I don't care. I don't care where you live. And I don't care what your education is. There are very okay. Well, I'll say whatever I want to say, and there's nothing you could do about it. You don't tell me how to run a radio show. I think you're a racist. When you come on this show and you don't talk about policy, you make general statements about him, a highly educated man who graduated from Harvard, who, by the way, has done a lot of good for a lot of people. And when you say he's done no good for anybody, that makes you sound like an idiot. You can disagree with him on a number of different issues. The man has done a lot of things to help people. The man has done a lot of things to help those with health care. It's called Obamacare. Millions of lives have been saved. It's not perfect, but millions of lives have been saved. The man has done a lot of things when he was in office for 8 years in turning the economy around to where it was when he took it over under George W. Bush. So for you to come on the air and double down on what you just said, the only thing Obama's got going for him is he's black, is a very stupid comment on your part. I could go through a laundry list of things that Barack Obama did as president of the United States that helped a lot of people in this country. I'm sorry if you think he hasn't helped you any, sir, but he's helped a lot of people in this country. And I don't think just because you have a college degree doesn't mean you're a smart person. There's a lot of idiots that have college degrees in this country. Bill Gates, didn't go to college. Okay, so what? I don't care. There's people that have college degrees that are in the Klan. There's people that have college degrees that are some of the dumbest people America has to offer. Just because you have a college degree doesn't defend a racist statement in nature that the only thing that Barack Obama has going for him is black. By the way, he has a wonderful family. He has 2 beautiful daughters that have grown up to be wonderful members of society. He has a very accomplished and beautiful wife, somebody named Michelle Obama. He's a very, very good father. He's a very, very good husband based on everything that anybody has said around him. He has done something with his life. And yeah, I also think it's quite the hell of an accomplishment to be the first black president in American history. Now, if you don't like some of the things he's done and you don't like that's fine. You have the right, sir, to not like some of his policies, but to say the only thing he's got going for him is he's black is a very, very bigoted statement in nature, sir. It really is.
Am I able to talk or what?
Don't play victim, sir. I just stopped talking, and it's my show, and I'll run it the way I want to. It's not your show. All right, okay. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pushing the Limits. Now let's go to our host, Richard. Richard, take it away.
I didn't say that. I just
welcome to the welcome. No. Welcome to Pushing the Limits. Let's welcome a random man named Richard who is a racist. Richard, I'm a coward. How am I a coward? Let's debate. Oh, now he just used a homophobic slur. See, ladies and gentlemen, Richard just showed you his true colors. He said Barack Obama, the only thing he's got going for him is black. And he just called me a homophobic slur. You see, the two go hand in hand. When you're a racist like this buffoon, it goes hand in hand. You're probably homophobic as well. Now, Richard, is that how you debate people? You call people homophobic slurs? Is that how you debate people, sir? You call somebody a homophobic slur?
motherfucker.
And now he's going to use the F word. Richard, you're not calling into this show anymore. You are despicable. You are a despicable human being. I stand by everything I said about you. And you could, quite frankly, go fly a kite, man. Good luck at your Klan rally tonight. It's not a really good defense when you double down on your racism and then you call somebody a homophobic slur. See, here's what I think. I think Richard has a hatred towards people that don't look like him because Richard is very angry with himself. Richard hates what he sees in the mirror. Richard doesn't have anything going for him. So Richard hates people that are more successful than him. It could be Barack Obama or it could be somebody like me. And he has a hatred towards those in the gay community. You know, no reasonable human being uses a homophobic slur. No adult would do that. Most kids don't do that. But Richard does it. The only thing that Barack Obama has going for him is he's black. So should we be surprised that somebody like that would call somebody a homophobic slur seconds earlier saying, I would destroy you in a debate, and then call somebody a homophobic slur? You want to talk about a sophomoric response? And Richard proved my point, and he proved that I was right. He is a bigot, he is homophobic, and he is extremely stupid. You lost on that one. That wasn't, quote, all she had. I think all you have is 2 brain cells. What do you think about that, sir?
So I was wondering, I was saying, I think it's been, sorry. It's basically been your main thing, I would say, that most of MAGA doesn't have like policies or anything serious that they've been voting on, that they've been voting on silly stuff, right? Well, I would say maybe one of Trump's best things was that back in 2016 when he won, was that he kept Trump out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership when he won, right? Now, back in 2016, it was the plan of Barack Obama that if the Democrats got control of the White House again, that they were going to get the U.S. in the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So I don't know, maybe you could speak to that.
So let's go back. Sure. So John, I'm happy to go back to 2016. If you don't mind me asking, are you a Trump? And I'm not holding it against you. I want to have a conversation with you. Did you vote for Donald Trump?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate you calling in. So let's go back to 2016 because you had said, well, I believe that most Trump supporters, they really can't name policies. I tend to agree with you, but let's talk about that. In 2015 and 2016, since we want to go back there, Donald Trump ran on 2 things, 2 main things. There were other things he talked about, right? And he blamed Democrats for all of our problems. But he ran on 2 things. How do we know this? Because the 2 things he brought up in every campaign stop were, we're going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it, and I'm going to hire a special prosecutor to go after Hillary Clinton. Well, as you know, John, I think you do, he did not build a wall that Mexico paid for. They didn't pay $1 for it. He got 6% of the wall built. That's number 1. And number 2, he never hired a special prosecutor to go after Hillary Clinton. By the way, Hillary was investigated 8 times when it came to Benghazi by Republicans. They found nothing. Okay, nothing, 0. And then this time around, since we're talking about policy, in almost every campaign stop, he said he would end the war in 24 hours. Now, I'm just going by the first couple months. You know the war is not over, and it's far from over in Ukraine. And he said he would lower the price of prescription drugs, which he hasn't done. By the way, one could argue he's done the opposite with some of the executive orders that he signed, which I can get into with you. And he said no tax on tips. That hasn't been implemented. It wasn't even in his tax policy a few months ago. And I would also add, on top of that, he's the guy that said he would lower the price of eggs. And even though eggs have dropped in the last couple of weeks, they're still way up since day one. So when I say he lies and he makes false promises and people believe it, make America great again is not a policy. It's a slogan. So with respect, sir, I would say that those are my examples that I would bring up of why I say that, sir. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go back and talk to one of those things you said.
Sure.
Okay. If I go back to that one election back in 2016, and my 2 options were voting for Trump or voting for Hillary, and I thought that Hillary should be in prison, or Trump was saying he was going to put a special project or a special prosecutor. Then, like, why would I vote for Hillary?
Why should Hillary be in prison? Yeah. What was the crime?
If I thought that she should be in prison, no, she should definitely be in prison.
Okay, well, what's the crime? Tell me what the crime is. What did she do?
Absolutely, she should be in prison. Selling out uranium, everything, sir.
Whoa, what's the crime? If when you say somebody's, like, for example, when I say,
she should definitely be in prison.
Okay, you've said that 5 times. What's the crime, sir?
I didn't say it 5 times, sir.
What's the crime?
5 times.
What's the crime?
She should definitely be in prison. No, you should look into
Pot him down.
uranium.
Hey, now I'm going to get frustrated with you. You've said 6 times she should be in prison. I've asked you 6 times, what is the crime? Don't answer it with she should be in prison. By the way, the guy that you support is a 34-count felon that should be in prison. Why should he be in prison? Because he's a 34-count felon. Name me the crime that Hillary Clinton committed, sir, please.
There was with Morocco when her husband Bill went to speak in Morocco, and then it was about 3 weeks later after her husband Bill got paid so many hundreds of millions of dollars. She signed something favorable in the treaty forum. It was back in like 2014.
John.
I would have a hard time finding the source because I'm only on the phone.
John. So
right.
You're entitled to your opinion. I don't need the source, and I don't need you to go
It's
into
not
details.
an opinion, it's facts.
John. Then name me the crime. What is the crime? Tell me what the crime is.
Crime, sir.
A crime isn't. I've never heard of the
system.
That's not a crime.
She's
you have
heavily
to
protected,
sir. There's fraud, sir. Let me explain to you what a crime is. Hold on.
I know what a crime is.
Okay, then name the crime. Then name the crime.
She's been heavily protected in the system for 40 years, sir.
Being heavily protected in the system isn't a crime. I'm asking you now for the 10th time. Name the crime. No, name me the statute that says heavily protected by the system is a crime. Sir, that's not a crime. I'm asking you now for the 11th time. When you say somebody belongs in jail, you need to name what the crime is. Okay? What is the crime?
He's a huge career criminal in the entire
Will you pot him down again? A huge career criminal is not naming a crime. I've now asked you 13 times. And if you're going to say somebody belongs in jail, you need to name the crime. Sir, I will ask you for the 14th time. I know you believe that Hillary should be in jail. I get it. I'm asking you what crime was committed. Name a crime. Why can't you do that? Go ahead, sir.
Mysterious death of Seth Rich.
I'm sorry. Seth Rich isn't a crime. Name the crime.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
no. Naming a person isn't a crime, sir. Seth Rich isn't a crime. Name me the crime. Are you that ignorant, with all due respect, sir, that you can't even name a crime that you think somebody committed? Like when I say O.J. Simpson committed a crime, I think he committed double murder. You see how it works, sir? Right? You see how it works? Donald Trump is a 34-count felon. He committed fraud. I think he belongs in jail because he's a 34-count felon that was proven in a court of law. I'm asking you what crime Hillary Clinton committed. Why can't you name the crime? You can't even Google it?
I don't know. I'm only on the phone right now.
All right. So I appreciate the fact that you finally admitted after I asked you 15 times, quote, you don't know. I think she belongs in jail. What's the crime? I don't know the crime. Seth Rich, she's protected. That's not a crime, sir. Do you know what the crime is? I don't know. Thank you for finally admitting you don't know. All right. So as we continue this conversation, sir, let's move on to Kamala Harris. Since now we've proven that you want somebody to be in jail, but you can't even articulate what the crime was, which is amazing to me, but that's okay. Let's move on. We'll agree to disagree on that one, sir. Kamala Harris, let's focus on, several months ago. What was it about Kamala Harris that you said, I can't vote for that woman? I want to get your thoughts on that, sir, if that's okay.
Pretty much everything.
Okay, so let's not speak in general terms because everything isn't a policy, right? Everything isn't a policy. Let's be specific and let's start with one specific thing that you didn't like about Kamala Harris, okay?
I don't like anything about Kamala Harris.
Okay, saying you don't like. Okay, so sir, are you just being a troll? Are you with the Tucker?
No, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you one more time, or the conversation is over because you really sound like a dummy. Okay, with all due respect, you really sound like an ignoramus. You claim Hillary Clinton should be in jail. You couldn't articulate one crime that she committed because you're an idiot. I think we've proven that. No. What do you have? You have a stutter now, sir? Did you develop a stutter? I'm going to ask you one more time because I think you're an imbecile and you're wasting my time. But that's okay. I do that with you MAGA morons every day. You prove how stupid you truly are. But prove me wrong, sir. Name me something about Kamala Harris policy-wise that you didn't like about her. And I'm not stuttering, sir. I'm now asking you for a third time. Name me something you don't like about Kamala. No, I'm not going to calm down because you've wasted 20 minutes of my airtime because you're a fool.
All she had was her $25,000 housing credit, which I think was a waste of time.
Okay, so all she had was her $25,000 house credit. Okay, that's not all she had. She talked about raising minimum wage. She talked about putting more money into maternity leave, the right to choose, putting back Roe versus Wade in place. She talked about tax breaks, putting it down to 27% or lower for people that make under $400,000 a year. So you are completely wrong when you say, quote, that's all she had. So would you like to try again and try door number 2 where you can win another stupid prize? Say something that is factually accurate, or at least an opinion that makes a little bit of sense, sir. You lost on that one. That wasn't, quote, all she had. I think all you have is 2 brain cells. What do you think about that, sir? Name me something else. Please, sir. Please,
I'm going to talk now. I think she's a very beautiful lady. I leave her with a face like a painter's radio. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so you're just an idiot. You're just an idiot. So when it comes down to it, you can't name anything you really didn't like about Kamala Harris. Okay, you probably look like Donald Trump. You're probably a middle-aged, obese white dude, and you put on 8 layers of orange makeup. And I'll tell you one thing: you've never had a woman like Kamala Harris before. In fact, I don't even think you've ever had a woman, quite frankly. What did we learn in this conversation? We learned that another idiot MAGA supporter called into this show and claimed Hillary Clinton belongs in jail. I asked him to articulate and name a crime that he believed that she committed. He couldn't do it, and I asked him over 10 times. And then I asked John, the MAGA supporter, name me something about Kamala Harris that you didn't like. And he couldn't do that either, and then he went to an ad hominem attack. So now I'll do the same. John, you're an imbecile, okay? Go see a dentist with your 3 teeth. Go get educated. Go back to high school and get your GED. And hopefully you'll be deported and sent to an El Salvador prison. But with due process. Don't worry. We'll give you due process. I think you might have some tattoos. Deport John to El Salvador, please. Can we please do that? Holy smokes, what a dope.